episodes I was blonde. I have pink hair now. I looked up. Across the street was Bloomingdale's. I'd been there once or twice in my day to get a little spritz from one of the perfume ladies. What can I say? It's a free country. I rode the escalator up and down until I found the suit department on the lower level. This time I looked at the prices first. There was a dark blue suit hanging on the rack that was on sale for $200. It looked like it was my size. I took it to the dressing room and tried it on. The pants were too long, but that was to be expected. Same with the sleeves. I walked out of the cubicle. A tailor with a tape measure around his neck motioned me up onto the block. I stepped forward, and as I did, I remembered the time my mother sent me to the tailor to pick up my father's new shirts. I was 9, maybe 10. In the dim interior, the dummies stood together in the corner as if waiting for a train. Krauss, the tailor, was bent over his machine, his foot pedaling. I watched him, fascinated. Every day under his touch, with only the dummies as witness, drab bolts of cloth, grew collars, cuffs, ruffles, pockets. "You want to try?" he asked. I sat down in his seat. He showed me how to bring the machine to life. I watched the needle leap up and down, leaving behind it a miraculous path of blue stitches. While I pedaled, Krasinski brought out my father's shirts wrapped in brown paper. He motioned me to come behind the counter. He brought out another package wrapped in the same brown paper. Carefully, he removed a magazine. It was a few years old, but in perfect condition. He handled it with the tip of his finger. Inside were black and silver photographs of women with soft white skin, as if they were lit from the inside. They modeled dresses, of a kind I'd never seen, dresses of pure pearl, of feathers and fringe, dresses that revealed legs, arms, the curve of a breast. A single word slid from Krasinski's lips. Paris. Silently he turned the pages, and silently I watched, our breath condensed on the glossy photos. Maybe Krasinski was showing me, with his quiet pride, the reason he hummed a little while he worked. At last he closed the magazine, slipping it back into the paper. He went back to work. If someone had told me then that Eve had eaten the apple just so that the Krasinskis of the world could exist, I would have believed it. Krasinski's poor relation buzzed around me with chalk and pens. I asked if it would be possible for him to hem the suit while I waited. He looked at me like I had 2 heads. "I got 100 suits back there to take care of, and you wanted me to do yours now?" He shook his head. "Minimum 2 weeks. It's for a funeral," I said. "My son." I tried to steady myself. I reached for my handkerchief. Then I remembered it was in the pocket of my pants crumpled on the dressing room floor. I stepped off the block and hurried back to my cubicle. I knew I'd made a fool of myself in that clown suit. A man should buy a suit for life, not for death. Wasn't that what Krasinski's ghost was telling me? I couldn't embarrass Isaac and I couldn't make him proud because he didn't exist. And yet, that evening I went home with the M suit in a plastic garment bag. I sat at the kitchen table and made a single rip in the collar. I would have liked to shred the whole thing, but I restrained myself. Official, the tzaddik, who might have been an idiot, once said, "A single rip is harder to bear than 100 rips." I bathed myself. Not a bird bath with a sponge, but the real thing, darkening the ring around the tub another shade. I dressed myself next to him, replied, "Who can be ready?" I stood alone by a large potted plant. My palms were damp. I felt myself getting dizzy. Perhaps it had been a mistake to come. I wanted to ask where he'd been buried. The newspaper hadn't said. Suddenly I was filled with regret that I'd bought my own plot so prematurely. If I'd known, I could have joined him tomorrow or the next day. I'd been afraid of being left to the dogs. I'd gone to Mrs. Freedstone's setting at Pine Lawn, and it had seemed like a nice place. Mr. Simchick showed me around and gave me a pamphlet. I'd been imagining something under a tree. A weeping willow, perhaps. Maybe a little bench. But when he told me the price, my heart sank. He showed me my options, a few plots that were either too close to the road or where the grass was balding. Nothing at all with a tree, I asked. Simchick shook his head. A bush? He licked a finger and rustled through his papers. He hemmed and hawed, but finally he gave in. We may have something, he said. It's more than you were planning to spend, but you can pay in installments. It was at the far end in the suburbs of the Jewish part. It wasn't exactly under a tree, but it was near one. Near enough that during the fall some of its leaves might drift down on me. I thought it over. Simchick told me to take my time and went back to the office. I stood in the sunlight. Then I got down on the grass and rolled onto my back. The ground was hard and cold under my raincoat. I watched the clouds pass above. Maybe I fell asleep. The next thing I knew, Simchick was standing above me. "No, you'll take it." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Bernard, my son's half-brother. A huge oaf, the spitting image of his father. May his memory be a blessing. Yes, even his. His name was Mordecai. She called him Morty. Morty! He's been in the ground 3 years. I consider it a small victory that he kicked the bucket first. And yet, when I remember, I light a yardstick candle for him. If not me, who? My son's mother, the girl I fell in love with when I was 10, died 5 years ago. I expect to join her soon, at least in that, tomorrow or the next day. Of that I am convinced. I thought it would be strange to live in the world without her in it. And yet, I'd gotten used to living with her memory a long time ago. Only at the very end did I see her again. I snuck into her room in the hospital and sat with her every day. There was a nurse, a young girl, and I told her, not the truth, but a story not unlike the truth. This girl let me come after hours, when there was no chance of my running into anyone. She was hooked to a life support, tubes up her nose, one foot in the other world. Whenever I looked away, I half expected that when I turned back she would be gone. She was tiny and wrinkled and deaf as a doorknob. There was so much I should have said, and yet I told her jokes. I was a regular Jackie Mason. Sometimes I thought I saw the hint of a smile. I tried to keep things light. I said, "Would you believe this thing here where your arm bends? This they call an elbow." I said, "2 rabbis diverged in a yellow wood." I said, "Mosh goes to the doctor. Doctor, he says, etc., etc." Many things I did not say. Example, I waited so long. Other example, and were you happy with that nebbish, that clod, that numbskull, Schlemo you call a husband? The truth was I'd given up waiting. Long ago. The moment had passed, the door between our lives we could have led, and the lives we led had shut in our faces, or better to say, in my face. Grammar of my life, as a rule of thumb, wherever there appears a plural, correct for singular. Should I ever slip a royal we, put me out of my misery with a swift blow to the head? "Are you all right? You're looking a little pale." It was the man I'd seen earlier, the one in the yellow bow tie. When your pants are down around your ankles, that's when everyone arrives. Never a moment before when you might have been in a position to receive them. I tried to steady myself against the potted plant. Fine, I said. "And how did you know him?" he asked, giving me the once-over. I wedged my knee between the pot and the wall, hoping it would give me some shooting up my groin and electrocuting my kishkis. I tried to stand up straight. My mother, may her memory be a blessing, used to say, "Don't slump." Dirt rained from the man's nostrils. As a final touch, I pulled my cruddy hanky out and pressed it into his nose. He swatted my hand away and pulled out his own, freshly laundered and pressed into a neat square. He shook it loose. A flag of surrender. An awkward moment passed as he cleaned himself up and I nursed my nether region. Next thing I knew, I was standing face to face with my son's half-brother, my sleeve between the teeth of the pit bull in a bow tie. "Look what I rustled up," he barked. Bernard raised his eyebrows. "Says he's mishbookie." Bernard smiled politely as he eyed first the rip in my collar, then the tear in my arm. "Forgive me," he said. "I don't remember you. Have we met?" The pit bull visibly salivated. A fine dusting of soil shifted in the crease of his shirt. I glanced at the sign marked "Exit." I might have made a run for it had I not been severely wounded in the privates. A wave of nausea came over me, and yet, sometimes you need a stroke of genius, and, lo and behold, genius comes and strokes you. "Diret's Yiddish," I whispered hoarsely. "Pardon?" I grabbed Bernard's sleeve. The dog had mine and I had Bernard's. I brought my face close to his. His eyes were bloodshot. He may have been an oaf, but he was a good man. And yet I had no choice. I raised my voice. "Diret's Yiddish." I could taste the stale alcohol on my breath. I grabbed his collar. The veins in his neck popped out as he recoiled backwards. "Vartast." "Sorry." Bernard shook his head. "I don't understand." "Good," I continued in Yiddish. "Because this here dumbbell," I said, gesturing at the man in the bow tie. "This here Butts has inserted himself up my tuchus, and it's only because I can't crap of my own free will that he has not been ejected. Would you kindly ask him to take his paws off me before I am forced to plug his snaz with another plant, and this time I won't bother to depot it." "Robert," Bernard struggled to understand. He seemed to grasp that I was talking about the man hanging on to my elbow with his teeth. Robert was Isaac's editor. "You know Isaac?" The pit bull tightened his hold. I opened my mouth, and yet... "Sorry," Bernard said. "I wish I spoke Yiddish, but..." "Well, thank you for coming. It's been moving to see how many people have come out. Isaac would have been pleased." He took my hand between his own and shook it. He turned to go. "Slán him," I said. I hadn't planned on it, and yet... Bernard turned back. "Pardon?" I said it again. "I came from Slán him," I said. "Slán him," he repeated. I nodded. He looked suddenly like a child whose mother has been late to pick him up, and only now that she'd arrived, allows himself to give in to tears. "She used to tell us about it." "Who's she?" demanded the dog. "My mother." "He comes from the same town as my mother," Bernard said. "I've heard so many stories." I meant to pat his arm, but he moved to brush something from his eye. The result being that I ended up patting his man breast, not knowing what else to do. I gave it a squeeze. "The river, right? Where she used to swim," Bernard said. The water was freezing. We would take our clothes off and dive off the bridge, screaming bloody murder. Our hearts would stop. Our bodies would turn to stone. For a moment we felt we were drowning. When we scrambled back onto the bank, gasping for air, our legs would be heavy, pain shooting up the ankles. Your mother was skinny, with small pale breasts. I would fall asleep drying in the sun, and wake to the shock of ice-cold water on my back, and her laughter. "Did you know her father's shoe shop?" Bernard asked. Every morning I picked her up there so we could walk together to school, except for the time we got in a fight and didn't talk for 3 weeks. Hardly a day passed that we didn't walk together. In the cold, her wet hair would freeze into icicles. I'm gonna stop there for today. Thank you so much for watching. This is getting really good. I had a little bit of a hard time there for a minute because my grandpa died helps YouTube know that you like me and if you like the video too. But what really matters is that you watched the video this far. That is freaking awesome. That shows the algorithm that you like my videos, and maybe it'll show it to more people. That'd be awesome. Maybe one day YouTube won't pick up on me. Whatever you are doing, have a good day, good night, good evening. Bye, guys. My channel is sponsored by a website called Wildflower Sex. For the rest of this ad read, I'm going to say sax, like saxophone, instead of the word that I need to say. So, let's talk more about Wildflower Sex. They are a sexual wellness company. First, I'll tell you about what I've purchased from there so far. Now, I will say I bought this without having any experience with said item. The other thing that I purchased on their website are some period cups. They're silicone, and it's really great if you want to reduce your carbon footprint in the environment. They are used for replacements for feminine products. But these period cups I got from Wildflower are really, really high quality. They're the perfect size for me. They have all different shapes and sizes of period cups and toys. So let's get more into the website itself. Right off the bat, the website is extremely inclusive. I absolutely love it. That's the first thing that really drew me into this website. Plus, not only do they talk about saxophone education and wellness, but they talk about inclusivity and how you can learn how to be more inclusive and things like that. Here's one example of something called the NB. If you scroll down, it will tell you what it's good for, what it's best used for, and if you scroll even more, you get some pretty detailed, pretty honest, and great reviews, which, I don't know, for me, it's nice to see honest reviews on a website. But not only that, it's pretty dang entertaining too. If you never have, go through the reviews of saxophone toys. Yeah, that's pretty fun. Anyway, my favorite part about this website isn't even the toys and inclusivity. It is the article that they give you about saxophone education. It is so hard to keep remembering to say saxophone. You go to this tab and there's tons of articles about gender, how-to guides, relationships, sex, body positivity, toys, tools, and my favorite I found, mental health. Super helpful. It's so wonderful to see an adult website that promotes saxophone wellness and education rather than just trying to throw stuff at you to buy constantly. Consider shopping around the site. And again, my affiliate link is in the description below. And if you can't spend money right now, I fully understand. Check out the website anyway and read the articles they have to offer because it's never too late to learn new things. Purchase anything through my link, then I will get part of that commission, so you would be supporting me. It would be great. By the way, I have other links if you want to check those out. They will be in my link trick below as well. I think this is where I left off. I can't tell. I hope the AC doesn't